with y'all some fucking myself. I'm trying to understand. Y'all remember when they said Ciara had a shingalings now? Y'all remember when she first came out, when she started dating Bow Wow, everybody said she had a ding-a-ling-a-ling in her pants, man. Who came up with that rumor? Cause y'all fucked me up for a while. Now every time she did something, I'm looking at her, see she had an Adam's apple. I'm trying to see if she really packing on that no homo. Like y'all fucked the nigga dreams up when y'all told us that. Who came up with that weak ass rumor? Cause it took a while for confirmation. I think it took for Future to get with it. We ain't even trust Bow Wow. We had to wait for Future to go get her ass before we could confirm this real shit. But who came up with that weak ass rumor, Mo? Had us fucked up as kids, no? 03, 04 was all fucked up. Fuck missing them, oh damn.
Today I am going to be talking about Ciara. Often in Western society, beauty standards change. Yet for the male gaze and the Black community, it hasn't really. Most men say they like natural bodies, especially curvy bodies. Ciara came out as a young woman with a slim, muscular body that included a smaller chest and was on the lower end of tall, in my opinion. To me, she was curvy, but she was not the standard of thickness in the Black community. Her first hit was Goodies, and there were some men upset about the song. Some feel like she was a tease on the dance floor, and she proclaimed that she was not going to give her goodies away so easily. Back then, I was like a teenager, and I had a male cousin who said, I don't like this song because she's telling women not to give it up. Of course, that experience was like an isolated experience, but I did hear like echo around where a lot of people, even to this day, they say that Ciara is like a tease or she's a whore or some weird stuff like that. So in general, I noticed how a lot of media, Black men and even Black women went around with the notion that Ciara was a trans woman. Today, I would like to explore the topic of like body expectations and the masculinization towards tall Black women and how it kind of centers around transphobia. So according to Medium, the rumor started in 2005 when an anonymous email claimed that Ciara had revealed her gender identity on the Oprah Winfrey Show. The email went viral and spread across the internet, causing many people to question Ciara's femininity and sexuality. The rumor was completely false. Ciara never appeared on the Oprah Winfrey Show to make such an announcement, nor did she ever confirm or deny the rumor publicly. In fact, she has always identified as a woman and has never undergone any gender reassignment surgery. This rumor was based on nothing but malicious gossip and transphobia.
All right, we're gonna jump right into it right now. We have a thing that we do sometimes with celebrities that come over here. We do a whole clear the air session.
Yeah.
So if there are any rumors, anything that's going on with Ciara, which there are all on the internet and all that other mess, clear the air right now. Let the people know what's going on.
Oh my goodness, there's
Speak
so
of
many
people.
crazy,
Get
funny
ATL
things.
grimy.
And you know, I gotta say, none of them bother me, but I'll just do it just to do it because whatever. There's one thing about me being a man or something like that. Before I was something when I was born, I got a change,
really?
a hermaphrodite or something like that. And they said that I went on Oprah and did it. And I'm like, okay, come on now. You know, if I was on Oprah, like, I mean, it takes a while before that happens for somebody going to Oprah. You know what I mean? Like, that's really big. So we know that didn't happen. If you can find it, though, I'll give you $100,000 and fly you around the world and do everything for you if you can find that tape and play it for me.
Right. Now shut it down.
Yeah, and then there's something else about me being a lesbian or something like that. I mean, it's so sad that I'm sitting right here in the dress and it's like.
The rumor was also fueled by some of Ciara's outfit choices, which sometimes featured pantsuits, blazers, or other items that were considered masculine or androgynous. Some people commented on her mystique, her deep voice, or her dance moves which they deemed too aggressive or powerful for a woman. I think that's silly because people can wear what they want to wear. Ciara's a dancer, so she more than likely wants to feel comfortable a lot of the time. And I just feel like there's no limit to an artist's self-expression, even a human being, but especially an entertainer who people kind of live vicariously through their creative expression. I also personally don't think Ciara had an androgynous look. Often you see hear people talk about how she had like an Adam's apple, and people I feel like said like weird stuff towards her because I feel like she had darker skin and she just happened to be tall. But I don't think even her voice was deep. I think she had a sultry voice like a lot of women in the Deep South. But again, people are going to say what they want to say. And a lot of that is tied into, again, Featurism. So the official definition of Featurism is a form of architectural design accentuated features. In other contexts, society accepts or prefers certain features over others. For example, like European features over African features. Because of this standard, often women who don't have like said features, they may be masculinized, like in Ciara's case. And this also ties into transphobia. Transphobia is a whole nother like entity into itself, but I think it's very important to understand that like how tall are masculinized. And so like, a gay slur, and a lot of people again would say like, oh, she looks like she has an Adam's apple. It's just weird things. And then there was this one side of people who wouldn't admit that she was beautiful, and some were ashamed because there were so many rumors about her actually being a man that people didn't want to say that she was desirable to them. And this kind of goes into transphobia. So transphobia basically can include fear, aversion, hatred, violence, or anger towards people who do not conform to societal gender roles. Some people underestimate like homophobia and transphobia because they'll say like, oh, I don't fear anything. But if you just come up with like crazy stuff about like the LGBTQ community, and for this instance, transphobia, like that is like a fear, and it's like an obsession to me in a lot of ways. So anyway, there's this pyramid of transphobia, and so there's like different tiers. And so I'm going to start at the bottom. And so we have like stereotypes, which can turn into prejudice, and this prejudice can turn to discrimination, which can turn to affect basically how people are treated, right? Like layers. But I just want to like give you an example of how like that can manifest, because some people try to refers to the act of making negative or cruel remarks about someone's body shape, whether it be weight, size, or body image. It's a form of bullying intended to humiliate a person who is perceived as physically unattractive or who does not fit into a societal beauty standard. Body shaming can target people of all ages. All of this is also tied into gender expectations again. So a common stereotype that is placed on Black women in society is the strong Black woman label. It can be abbreviated as SBW. Black women face an obligation to manifest strength and are expected to act in a manner that exemplifies their resiliency and ability to perform under extreme pressure. So I can imagine an ignorant person having like a presumption about gender expectations, seeing a Black woman, especially one with even darker skin and muscles, and deem her as not feminine, which is crazy because muscles are really a sign of good health and longevity, in my opinion, and adorable and or youthful. And on the contrary, taller people are associated with masculinity and strength and protection, because a lot of people feel like gender-wise or biologically, men should be taller and thus protect women. And so a lot of times when they see a woman who's that way, they feel that she doesn't need protection. Not everybody, but a lot of people may feel she doesn't have to be protected. She's strong. And sometimes people abuse this towards these women. This could be like verbally, through making rumors, or even physically. Like I've heard men say they would knock a tall woman down. And featurism is even worse. So, for instance, a lighter skinned biracial woman like Zendaya isn't stigmatized or masculinized like a taller, darker woman. So, like, a lot of people often overlook Zendaya as masculine, and she is literally taller than Ciara. She's 5'10", and Ciara's like 5'7". There's also this notion about the needs to be thick, and this leads to my conversation, or the recent conversation, about Ciara's mom body. So Ciara has often been slimmer, and of course her postpartum body is different like a lot of mothers or women. Since Ciara has given birth and put on weight, like her curves are more obvious, there have been like a lot of applause and a weird confirmation that she is actually a woman. She meets this beauty standard now in the Black community, not only because she's curvaceous, but because she had the ability to carry children. This, to a lot of people, has a racist and transphobic undertone, as it reinforces the idea of womanhood and to labor and just your ability to have children with womanhood. But some people feel like it of how people view womanhood or gender identity. And so a lot of people also don't believe that Black women have said that we are beautiful too. We have traveled the cultural imaginations of the world's non-white people, assembling a beauty construct that does not exclude us. We create culture about our beauty. We negotiate with Black men to legitimize. We try to construct something that feels like liberation in an inherently oppressive regime, balancing peace with our marginally more privileged, lighter-skinned Black women while refuting the global caste status of darker-skinned Black women. Some of us try to include multiple genders and politics in our definition of beauty. This kind of work requires discursive loyalty. We must name it and claim it because naming is about the only unilateral power we have, as stated by Tracy McMillan Cottom. So now I'm going to play some public opinion and then I'm going to conclude.
You've also used your platform to talk a lot about the masculinization of tall Black women, tall dark-skinned women.
I face like a lot of criticism from people who have an issue with me expressing my femininity. I used to play sports a lot growing up, so no one had an issue with me being the athlete.
Right.
But the moment I wanted to, start wearing makeup and start looking pretty and start doing something that's out of the norm of what, people that are tall are supposed to do, people started trying to bring me back to that masculine side. There's nothing wrong with being assertive, and you can still be very confident and assertive and powerful and still be feminine. Men who want to, it comes from, I would say, Muslim men.
Most of the time.
And it's always insecurity because they feel threatened by your stance and they feel like height equals masculinity because that's how they view their life.
Exactly.
And when they don't have the height, they don't feel masculine.
And they project.
And they project that. So it's like, wow, you're so tall, you're manly.
Yeah.
Because that's what you think it means to be a man. And if you think height has to do with being a man, then you're probably really sad and hate your life. Like, you know what I mean?
Okay, so I know I said that one was going to be my last one, but I talk a lot, so yeah. This one is very close to home because something I've experienced. So I'm going to be talking about body standards as a Black girl and how it's different to other ethnicities. So I'm half Nigerian, half Jamaican, so clearly as you can see, I am Black. And I've always been a skinny girl. Some people like to identify as a slim babe. I just accept that I'm skinny because that's what I am. I feel like as a Black girl, I've always felt like there's this expectation and pressure for me to be built a certain way because you're always seeing like older women in the family that like have accentuated, breasts or bums or whatever. It's like it always made us feel like if you're not built like that, then there's something wrong, it's your fault. Get called Marga or being told that you need to eat more and all of that. And especially like there's this thing from boys because of this whole BBL era. Like boys will come at you for no reason and be like, you're flat, you're this, you're that. Like I literally used to get bullied year 7, year 8 because I was skinny and I went through it. Like I literally sometimes still struggle now with it. Like I don't really want to wear certain types of clothes, but it's a work in progress. But yeah, I just feel like people like to say being skinny is still the body standard. I don't think it applies to Black girls. I feel like, yeah, it's kind of coming into fashion now again, but it's still that prominent thing of as a Black girl, if you're skinny, it's kind of more looked down upon and they're like you're expected to look a certain way, and if you don't, then there's something wrong. And it's like I just feel like we need to distinguish that, and I think it's something that needs to stop because like not all of us are going to be built the same. Not all of us get those big bum jeans. Like that's just how it is, and not all of us want to be built a certain way. Not all of us want to get a BBL. Like I remember when I was in year 9, I was in a group chat with some girls I was friends with at the time, and they said I was the most likely to get a BBL because I was skinny, and that hurt because that was them basically saying that they think I should get one. And yeah, I've always wanted to put on weight, but I've never wanted to get that, and that hurt a lot. So I think it's a thing where we need to accept that body standards isn't the same for Black girls or for white girls, let's be real, because white girls can be skinny as anything, they'll still attract a lot of guys, and they'll always be praised for it. Black girl, if you're skinny, it's not seen as a good thing. And I feel like we need to work on just making sure that everyone feels valued, like they're the same, because at the end of the day, I shouldn't be made to feel like I'm any less pretty or worthy because I'm skinny in comparison to a girl that might be thick. So yeah, but just remember, slim or thick or skinny, whatever, you're pretty anyways.
So guys, I'm heading out and I was like, let me talk about this real quick before I go. I feel like I'm a tall woman. I grew up tall, like period. But I feel like growing up, people always tried to like make me masculine because I was tall. Like my girlfriends, boys, and the funny thing is like men, now that I'm old, is like no man hates me for my height. Matter of fact, it's the first thing they love. But it's like growing up, some women will try to be cute, standing next to me be like, oh, I'm so small and you're so big, and you're like, you know, calling me like LeBron James, and like just jokes that I had to like wonder, like, are you okay? Like, why are you trying to make me so masculine so bad? Because like, I'm a tall girl, but I am feminine. Like, I am so feminine when I look at myself. Like, I'm not masculine at all. So please today, stop masculinizing tall women, if that's a word.
I don't think you wanna give me reason.
Great Sean on the beat, by the way.
My body different.
Well, I will say this. As an ex-female bodybuilder, as Miss Fitness Alaska 3 times, I did this for a living. And what people don't understand is the darker we are, the more our muscles show. That's why even black men and women who generally don't work out, we tend to look physically better than most people. That's why in competition they make you tan. I was too light. I literally had to go tanning and get spray tan to become darker so my muscles would show more under the light. That's why they do that. But the fact that they would actually say this, I find amazing. That was said to me my entire life. I was even asked if I was a man, despite the fact that I actually have visible stretch marks. They're not bad, but they're there. I remember dropping all 9 pounds 1 ounce with my son. And the thing is, they have nothing, honey. They have nothing. That's all they can say. But let's be real. Most of the time when these people say things like that, it's because they're intimidated by the bodies that we do have. We tend to stay younger longer. We tend to, even physically, look more attractive. And this is their way of trying to make us feel insecure about the skin that we're in. Now, I'm Filipino and black. I'll be the first one to tell you, my mom's side gave me no options in the chest area, so I went and I bought some after my son sucked the life out that whole first set. That is the only plastic surgery I've ever done. And that one I do get, ladies. I do get that one. But the rest of it is BS. I love the skin that I'm in. And to me, it's just jealousy. We do not have extra bones in our legs, and we don't have higher testosterone. None of that is true. They just need another excuse to hate us. That is it, and that is all. Do not get discouraged. Anything like that. I mean, I'm 48 years old. I'm about to be 49 years old. These people do not define who I am, and they will never define who you are as a black woman. Love yourself, sister. I love you. Chin up. Don't let the man get you down.
Excuse the roughness, but random thought. I just want to say, as a fellow Tarly, I'm 5'11" and 3/4. I will never forgive y'all for thinking Ciara had a fucking eggplant.
Who was responsible for starting the rumor?
Okay, so I'm glad this topic has risen from the dead because it makes no sense why I was in 5th or 6th grade and literally there was a rumor going around that Ciara was a man. And like, you know, being a kid, you believe everything. I believe that. Like, you couldn't tell me otherwise. And my thing is, we were children. We had no business knowing anything about that. I don't know, like, whoever started that rumor, they had to have been in elementary school and middle school around the time I was in elementary school back in the early 2000s because it was so believable. And then when she dropped the Like a Boy music video back in like 2007, I was inspecting everything. Like, I was a detective. I was like, yep, this confirms it. She's a man. Like, just messy. Like, we had no business knowing about that.
I want nappy ass headed black women. Big pretty eyes, beautiful nose, beautiful lips, big hips, fat ass, big breasts. I want original African woman.
Y'all remember when people were saying Ciara was a man? If y'all don't remember, let me hit y'all with this little flashback.
Any rumors, anything that's going on with Ciara, what's the all the internet and all of the mess? Clear the air right now. Let the people know what's going on.
None of them bother me, but I'll just do it just to do it because whatever. There's nothing about me being a man or something like that. A change, really, a night or something like that. They said that I went on Oprah and did it. And I'm like, okay, come on now. You know, if I was on Oprah, like somebody on Oprah, you know what I mean? Like that's pretty big. So we know that didn't happen. If you can find it though, I'll give you $100 grand and fly you around the world and do everything. Right. Yeah, something else about me being a lesbian or something like that. I mean, it's so sad. This like it's so funny to me. And one thing that I feel about it like is that the bigger and better things get for you, the more people try to bring you down. It's just the way I see it.
And that was from the early 2000s. And this is what I'm talking about when I say cis black women need to align ourselves with black trans women. We are all in danger. It does not matter how normative or beautiful you think you are. The world doesn't see black women as pure or dainty. They honestly see you as a workhorse. A black woman can produce. She's only as valuable in so much as what she can give to the world. And once they decide you're masculine, those features, they throw out your ability to add value. You're no longer desirable. You're no longer sexy. No one finds you appealing. And that's because of all of the tropes that are assigned to black women's bodies. They said that Ciara looked like a man because she was tall. They used to talk about her throat all the time and say that she had an Adam's apple. Yes, her throat. They literally made her throat and said her Adam's apple was the reason why they believed she was a man. I'm trying to tell y'all, the world will do anything to tell black women that they do not belong to womanhood. So when y'all get the chit-chatting and don't call me cis, shut up, you love trans women. Girl, you're not doing nothing but feeding the narrative of white supremacy that literally wants to kill you and tell you ugly in the first place. And a lot of y'all be quick to take the bait, acting like whole polys for patriarchy, when you don't even get no benefits from none of the hate that you are spewing. That kind of hate, the kind of comments that y'all leave, the kind of barriers that y'all put up for trans women, it don't pay no bills. And this is all into response to a cis black woman being murdered because a white man thought she was trans. Her name is Michelle Peacock, by the way. There's not enough coverage on her story. Black cis women, learning is loving. I hope that you learn to love your trans sisters.
Remember when we were kids and people would just lie to make people feel really weird about random shit? My favorite was the lie about Ciara being trans. That was amazing. Most of my elementary school was convinced she said that on Oprah.
I have seen way too many videos of my black cis sisters sharing their very real struggles with being masculinized. There have been a few videos on my For You page recently where they have expressed that they've been mistaken for trans women. And normally I chalk these types of comments up to trolls being trolls, given that these creators have no masculine features by Western beauty standards at all. As a proud black trans woman, I know that being trans doesn't innately mean that you possess masculine features, but many bigots who indulge in this app do not understand this. The struggle being called manly as a black woman, be it cis or trans, is something that delves deeper than an insult. It's actually deeply rooted in the desexualization of the black woman that has been happening since we stepped foot on this land, and it is simply unacceptable and racist. However, along with this being unacceptable, it is also unacceptable and comically ironic that a lot of these same creators use these experiences as weapons against trans women, perpetuating transphobia in their comments. You go against your biggest allies when you agree with these comments suggesting that black trans women specifically are undesirable and point-blank manly. I won't go into my long rant about the origin of BBL and camp fashion or lace front wigs in our community, but what I will say is, in the rare cases that the black community as a whole rallied around black women after being attacked by the very construct of America, which is racism, colorism, and sexism, the first ones to come to your defense are the black LGBTQ+ community. Don't feed into a construct that doesn't benefit either one of us. Instead, encourage your following to educate themselves to stop feeding into the very hate-fueled phobia that has slain over 24 of our trans black sisters yearly. And that is transphobia within the black community. As I've said many times before, I love, and respect me some black women, trans and cis. But reciprocity is key if we're going to move forward as one.
And so, in conclusion, Ciara, like in general, she doesn't bother anyone. I feel like she should be able to just exist in her body. And honestly, I've loved her R&B pop era, and that she loved to dance. It was just generally happy. Like, I love seeing happy black women. And I think Ciara was just a fun person. And I really hate how the media, a lot of black people taunted her for her body shape and making a mistake to trust someone like Future. Like, people, I feel like, have always taunted it over her head. Nonetheless, she is winning, and I really hope we give more grace to women who don't meet the current beauty standards, and grace to just actual black trans women as well. I think also it's important to vet sources we digest and become more literate as a society overall, because like just believing crap we see on the internet is crazy. So let me know your thoughts down below, and thank you so much for listening to Books&Looks TV. I'll see you next time.